All right. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How much time did you spend getting ready to be on a Zoom podcast this morning?
Oh, about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Not too long.
Is Jerry asleep?
No, he's at work right now.
Oh, okay. What's the weather like over there right now?
Oh, it's really pretty. It's kind of windy today, but it's a beautiful springtime day.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
really nice.
all dark and gloomy here. Like I'm wearing a hoodie in my garage right now because it's kind of cold in here.
Oh, see. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a little cooler for us last night too, which was kind of good.
Is it real humid right now?
No, not right now. I mean, normally, yes, but with this breeze, it knocks that humidity out, so it's not bad.
It's so bone dry here. Sometimes Zana wakes up with a nosebleed. She'll just
Ooh,
get up in the middle and yeah, because it's so just she wakes up like we both wake up every morning. We're both so thirsty because it is so dry in our
yeah.
house. And we keep the air conditioner pumping. I turned the house into a mini fridge at night.
That's good. That's
She
good sleep right there.
I because we have this big comforter on our bed, like, and it's pretty thick and it's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
We don't have like a sheet that would go in between the comforter and your body and the sheet that's over the bed. And that's all I need. And I just bundle up in that. But she wants to put a quilt over her side of the bed too. So
Oh
she'll
my.
wake up and be like, it's hot. And I'm like, well, knock that quilt off in the floor.
She needs one of those weight blankets.
I
I've
don't
been
know.
thinking about getting one. I
I've
bet it's
seen people use them. Said it's like getting a hug all the time.
yeah. See, now I know what to get her for her birthday.
Okay. Yeah, I like it when the bed, like she can't stand this, but I'll get into the bed and it's so cold. I'm like, it's like getting into like a cold swimming pool.
Yeah.
Kind of takes your breath for a second, and then your body heat warms up that section of the bed. And then if you need like a little relief from the heat, you just kind of stretch your arm out and it'll cool.
Cool again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they get so much money for those cooling mattresses now.
I'd probably go into hypothermia sleeping on one of those. Wake up one morning, my lips would be blue.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We've had a couple of days where it's been nice weather here. Obviously there's no clouds and it's real sunny, but I mean, we live so close to the beach that if the weather is nice, the traffic on the island is just going to be horrendous. Like yesterday, I went and I shipped something at the post office and told them to put a hold on our mail because we're going to be leaving here pretty soon. And I mean, it was a madhouse just driving around this little bitty island because so many people are out and about.
Yeah. Well, we had tornadoes last week. I think it was Tuesday, actually. I think I said Thursday, but it was Tuesday. And they weren't real bad tornadoes, but it was enough.
Yeah.
And I was home by myself, of course. Jerry's doing a mini shutdown at his work. So he's just working a lot of hours right now, days and nights. And he was at work at night, and I had come home from work and eaten some dinner, went and jumped in the bathtub. And I knew it was about to start raining, but I didn't know it was fixing to do what it did. And I'm struggling to get out of the bathtub when it hits. And I peep out that front window, and oh my Lord, when you see the rain going sideways, that's what's fixing to happen. And so I was looking to see if there was any hail, but we have a garage, so the car was in the garage, and I knew Jerry was going to have trouble at work too if they had a tornado there. So no sirens were going off or anything, and I really didn't know how bad it was, but I was struggling to get clothes on jumping out of the bathtub because I was like, you know what? The roof's gonna come off. They're gonna find me in the middle of a field somewhere. And my boobs are gonna be out. So I was as fast as lightning trying to put some clothes on and looking out the window again and again and again. And then finally, in about 15 minutes, it was gone. And so then I really didn't know how bad it was until the next day. You know, we didn't lose any trees or anything, but the little popcorn tree in the backyard, the roots started to come up out of the ground. And if it does fall over, it's going to go into the neighbor's yard who owns the tree, but
Mhm.
it's going to rip a big hole in our fence because it's so close to the fence. And it did buckle up some of the boards just a little bit, but it didn't fall over. So my next door neighbor, the guy from France and his family, they lost like three great big trees in their yard. They all fell on the fence and into the neighbor's yard. So they just now got all that cleaned up. But it reminded me of when we lived in that single wide mobile home. We had just moved it out to the country. And I don't remember which hurricane it was, but I think it was Hurricane Ivan.
Mhm.
I tried to look back, see how many years and figure out how old y'all were when it happened, but it was somewhere around that time. And there was a tornado that came by the house. It flipped our storage building in the backyard and just, a bunch of stuff punctured holes in the walls and everything from flipping over. But in the house, I was just at the point where I was fixing to grab the mattress off the bed and throw it over all three of y'all and me.
Mhm.
And I looked up and the wall of the bedroom we were in was moving like water, like this,
Mhm.
the whole
Yep.
wall.
I
And it
remember it.
pulled, yeah, and it pulled all the little staples out of the wall where it holds the sheetrock together.
Mhm.
And that scared the life out of me.
It
So,
scared all of us. I remember, I think I want to say I was in like the 5th grade, and I just remember you waking me up on that in that bunk bed in my room, and you were like, "Hey, you need to get up. A tornado is coming."
uh huh.
And it was the amount of time that it took for me to run from one end of the house to the other. And I remember the TV being on, and it was like WSFA, and it's like, if you're in the Titus, Alabama area, you need to seek shelter immediately. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like a movie because I
Oh, yeah.
literally just the length of that house, and we ran into your room,
Yeah.
and we all got like under the bed.
Right.
And I think it was me, Lauren, and Dylan both got under the bed, or all three of us got under the bed, and you were about to get under the bed, and that's when it really hit. And I remember looking and seeing that wall doing the wave like that.
Yes. Yes. If that thing hadn't been tied down, we would have been flipped over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking maybe we should get outside and go get in a ditch. But I was like, well, golly, a ditch is so stinking far. We'd have to run half a mile to get to a ditch.
Yeah.
We should have had a storm shelter sitting up there
Yeah.
on top of that hill like that. That would have been the best case scenario. But we still would have had to go outside to get to it.
Oh yeah. Well, I
So,
remember you remember my buddy Sean?
yes.
His grandparents, they had a storm shelter, and that thing was pretty neat. It was small. I mean, it was just enough for a few people to sit down in there, but they had one out in their yard, and we used to go sit in it sometimes.
Yeah, there's one in my neighborhood just right around the corner. I was walking one afternoon. And they had the garage door open and it looks like a oil change bay. I guess is what you call it, but it's got a big metal door that slides. And I mean, they can't park their cars in the garage, when it's bad weather because it covers that storm shelter. So if they had a three-car garage, that would be the best case scenario because they could still get their cars in the garage and get in that thing.
Right.
But that house sits on a pretty high hill, so it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But anybody thinking about moving to Alabama, do not think living in a mobile home is a good idea because it's not.
I mean, for a temporary fix, yeah, but that's what I like. people out here, a lot of these people that I work with are native to California or somewhere in the surrounding area. So when you talk about like tornadoes and stuff, they think, they can't even imagine seeing something
No,
like that because it doesn't happen here.
right.
These people
Yeah, the
freak out
same
when it,
thing. I'm sorry, the same thing happened, our neighbor that's from France, he says they never get tornadoes in France.
oh, yeah.
Just doesn't happen. So,
Oh, yeah. They're just like, they always are like, what is it like? And I was like, it's just raining real hard and the wind is blowing real hard. And I was like, it sounds like a train
yeah.
is coming. And and they're just like, what? And I was like, I tell them that story. It was right after you and Jerry got together whenever we moved in with him. And I remember we were standing out there on his back porch at that house. I
Yes.
forget exactly where it was, but I could
That was
take
the
you to it.
Highlands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I remember we were
yeah,
standing out there on that back porch and just looking off into the distance, and the lightning struck and you could see the outline of the tornado, and we were all like, "Oh my
yes.
god!"
Yeah, and there was no wind and no sound from where we were because we were about 2 miles from that thing, and that was just crazy to me, and all the hair stood up on my head, and I was like, "Okay, we're going to the closet."
Yeah,
I don't wanna see that again. But that's the one that went through, um, Tuscaloosa and killed all those people back
yeah,
in 2011,
hmm,
and it killed right about that time we saw it. It was, killing all those people in Eclectic, and it was throwing them into that lake that was close to their houses. So, that was terrible.
oh yeah. It was that's We had one when we were stationed in Mississippi, and Zaina once again wake me up in the middle of the night, and Lily was a baby, like she was an infant, and Zaina, like she got the alert on her phone that the tornado was coming, and we're all in our underwear.
Right?
And I guess I had left the back door slightly cracked, so it
Uh,
pushed it open, and
oh.
water had started to come in through the door right there, and it was blowing real hard, and I'm half asleep, so I'm like, you need to relax. Like, I'm once you've been in one where the wall started moving like a wave, like everything else just seems like, this isn't that big of a deal. And of
Right,
course,
yeah.
Zaina, being the worry wart that she is, she was panicking.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, you need to relax. Like, you need to go take a muscle relaxer or something and just chill out. Because, God, she was freaking out.
Oh, no.
And then,
It went by pretty quick.
oh, yeah, it was, and it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that came through here, it went right over our neighborhood and then followed Main Street all the way toward Bass Pro. It went over Lowe's and didn't do too much, and it went to the movie theater and tore it up a little bit, but then it went to Bass Pro Shop right by the interstate, and it mowed down all kinds of trees, so I think it was jumping,
Yeah.
kinda hopping and skipping and jumping. But, once it passed the interstate, and it didn't tear up at Bass Pro, I don't think. I mean, I saw some metal from roofs and stuff like that on the interstate the next morning, but it had all been moved out of the way. But the trees were just chopped off right there, and it looked like maybe about an acre space next to Bass Pro. There's a house right up there on top of that hill, and you can't really see it from the interstate, but I don't know if there was any damage there. But it's somebody's property right there next to Bass Pro. And then once they got across the interstate, there's some restaurants down there. There have big trees in the parking lot, and those trees went across the road. So they had that road closed for about 2 days. You couldn't go that way at all.
I saw that movie theater in Prattville is pretty messed up. People
Yeah.
are saying they don't think it's going to open back up. And I mean, partially I could understand why, because it wasn't that great of a movie theater to begin with. Me and Zaina went like 2, 3 years ago to watch, I think it was Pirates of the Caribbean or something, like one of the latest ones. And oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
The
The last
sound.
time,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. I'm sorry, the last time I was there, the air conditioning wasn't working, and I walked in there and it was so hot. I turned around and went back out. I made them give me my money back. I said, "I'm not staying."
Yeah.
And they didn't want to give me the money back for the popcorn and the drink, and I said, "I don't want this." Want all my money back. And she was like, "Well, maybe I can fix it." And I thought,
Fix
not
the air conditioning.
yes. That's what that young girl said to me. "Maybe I can fix the air conditioning." And I thought, "Well, you know what? Why didn't you do it before now?"
Yeah, like I would have say only when people are walking out of here about to faint are you gonna go and fix the air conditioning?
Right. Oh my word. She was just trying to get me to stay, and I wasn't doing
Oh.
it.
Well, when we went to go see Pirates of the Caribbean, the sound was so loud. It was just you could just tell how uncomfortable it was making everybody because like everybody was like wincing every time something was loud. They would go, you know, because it was
Yeah,
that loud. And somebody got up and complained because they were like, "Why is the sound turned up so loud?"
yeah,
And it's
that's
just a bunch of
crazy.
stupid teenagers working there. I apologize for anybody's kid that works at that movie theater, but
I don't think anybody has worked there in a year.
yeah,
It's been closed since they opened COVID.
yeah. Well, I mean, we got a nice little theater here on the island, and the movie theaters are open again here. And well, it's at like a certain percentage, but and the one that we like to go to is right here on the island. It's this beautiful, small little vintage theater.
Yeah,
And oh, it's so nice. It's like everybody wears like a vest and a bow tie, and like it looks just like a movie theater out of the 50s. And they got the marquee up there. And it's just like a nice little leisurely stroll through the downtown area. And then you go right into this movie theater. And it's real small. They have like two screens that only seat like 150 people. And I mean, it
yeah,
even has a curtain that opens
really.
before the
Hadn't
movie
seen that in a
starts.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. And we went and saw Joker there. And they even have like little small private viewing rooms, and it will seat only like 6 people.
What?
Oh, yeah. It's like a big screen and like 6 spread out movie chairs, like big lazy boy chairs that have the reclining feet and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
And they haven't opened up yet. Last movie we saw there was Sonic the Hedgehog. We took Lily, and that was the last one that we went to go see before they shut everything down.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll open back up soon, hopefully.
Me and Zaina went to see Tenet, which is pretty good if you haven't seen it yet. We went to go see that uh, right when it came out, around the time of our anniversary last year. And they had just opened up the movie theater for that weekend. They were like, "Hey, we'll let 25% in here." And that was actually pretty nice because we went on like a Saturday night, the opening weekend of this movie. And we go in there, and there's only one other couple to see it at like 6 p.m. on a Saturday night. And
What?
this theater can seat like 500 people. The movie theaters, like the big company theaters out here, are huge.
That's
And
not.
yeah, there was only one other couple in there. So, I mean, it was pretty much like we had the place to ourselves. And they were
Mm.
like, "Well, you got to keep your mask on unless you're eating popcorn." So the whole movie, I was like, and
Spreading it out.
yeah,
That's funny.
but I don't know. I mean, now with all these like streaming services and apps, like I have HBO Max, and it's like, "Are you going to go see Mortal Kombat this weekend?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to stay at the house and watch it when it's convenient
Oh,
for me." Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I like going to the movies. It's still something to go do, but like, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, nah, I'll just wait till it comes out on DVD. Now you don't have to do that. You can see something the same time everybody else does.
I know. So
And
strange. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid going to see Star Wars and also Smokey and the Bandit.
mm,
And the people were lined up around the side of the building and all the way behind the building trying to get in there to watch that movie, or both of them actually. But I think I was maybe 7 or so. And I was just so excited to be there. It was just amazing to me that that many people would line up outside of a building, try to see a movie.
Mhm.
So, and that wasn't opening night either. That was like 2 weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They made a lot of money on those back then.
I'm trying to think of anything that we went to go see that people were like tripping over themselves trying to get into the theater to go watch. When me and Zaina went and saw the last Harry Potter movie, it was like that.
Yeah.
And everybody there was just, like about our age.
Right. Yeah, I'm
And
sure I haven't seen that one.
yeah, but there were people sitting on the steps, like not even sitting in seats. Like you could just sit on the steps in the theater.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It was good. We watch it all the time now because we own it and Lily loves it. And I told Zaina, I was like, we need to make it just like it was for us. Like we need to make it to where she has to read the book before she can watch the movie or something like that. And we're so far. She's watched the whole series 5, 6 times. Like she woke up yesterday morning and says, I want to watch Harry Potter.
Oh,
So she likes the first one because that's, a lot more kid friendly.
right.
But she'll watch the other ones. Like she doesn't understand everything that's going on, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's how you learn.
yeah, I'm hoping that it's like a reverse effect for how it was for me. Cause like when everybody got interested in it whenever the movie came out.
Uh-huh.
And then our teacher in the second grade, she read us the book. And I just remember sitting there in class while she was reading the book to us. And I was like, this is one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Golly. Was that Miss Spencer?
Hmm. The
Yeah.
one that's Octavia Spencer's sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought she was so cool. She was, a police officer before she became a teacher.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She did it for a few years and just decided it wasn't for her, and probably a good thing, but that's what, she told all of us. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to give that woman hell. Most of my teachers were like, there's something wrong with him. He can't sit still. He can't stop talking to everybody.
Well, you were going to school telling everybody that your mom was a doctor. So just because I wore scrubs to work every day, and I was like, please don't tell them that. Please don't tell them I'm a doctor because they're going to expect something out of me.
I'm trying to
Uh,
think. So when we moved to Wetumpka schools, when I was in the third grade, the
yeah,
teachers were a little bit better. My third grade teacher was pretty good.
Russell.
Yeah. And then my fourth grade, I think I had two different teachers. That's
That's
when
when
they,
they started splitting y'all up.
yeah,
And I think it wasn't that the year that they did just girls in one class and boys in the other.
that was the sixth grade,
Okay,
which
that
was,
was the dumbest thing.
yeah, I agree. Cause it was so stupid. I don't know why they thought,
Yeah,
hey, let's do this. But all the
yeah.
boys
They
ever did was fight all the time. We just,
well, that's exactly what they said. The next year, they decided to put them back together. They said the girls did very well when there were no boys distracting in the classroom, but the boys were terrible. They were terrible. And so that's why they decided to go ahead and mix y'all up again.
yeah. Well, half the time, like with the girls in class, like half the time that would like make me behave is if I saw some girl that I thought was cute or something, and I wasn't over there sticking pencils in my nose and going in the
Right.
back of the class.
Exactly. The girls kept the boys under control to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Either
but
that or the teachers just said, I'm not doing this again. Y'all better switch it back or we're out of here.
did I ever tell you that story of that teacher I had in the sixth grade? Her name was Miss Gardner, and I think about this all the time. They did this exercise where she said, all right, so we're going to do an exercise today. When I say go, You're not supposed to say anything. You're not supposed to do anything. And I don't want any of you to react. You just write down what you're feeling and what you're saying on paper. I didn't know what this woman was about to do.
Yeah, you did tell me about that.
She walked around the room with a candle, and it was like an old, rickety looking candle.
Mm-hmm.
She had it lit and everything. She just walked around the room real
Yeah, like
slow. And I didn't know
seance.
what was about to happen.
Right.
And I'm sitting there watching this lady like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, she stops in the middle of the room and looks around at everybody and blows out the wick on that candle and goes,
Yes, you did tell me. You were just amazed.
I was like, everybody in the whole room was like, and then she's just got juice from whatever that was, like running down her mouth, and she's like, right. So we all just sit there and we're like, trying to figure out what it was. It turned out it was a potato.
Uh-huh.
She had like carved a potato to look like a candle, and she had stuck an almond on top. And I guess the oils in the almond will burn if you light them on fire. And so yeah, and it was like a creative writing exercise.
Uh-huh. That's pretty cool. She
Yeah, I
got
thought
all
that
y'all's
was.
attention though.
Oh yeah, God, that scared me to death. I thought that woman. I thought she was practicing black magic or something.
Yeah, she's a witch.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
The other teacher we had, I think her name was Miss Ward, and she would just tell us stories in class. She would just come out, like we would go over there, and if we could get her off she was the history teacher, and if we got her off the lesson plan and just started to like explain stuff like the Vietnam War, and her just start talking about it, and that would be our lesson. We just sit there and just,
yeah.
And that's what I really responded to. I was like, I don't want to read chapter 3 out of this book.
Exactly.
I want to hear what it was like for you growing up as a teenager during that time.
Exactly. Yeah. I used to beg both of my grandfathers to please tell me about World War II because they were both in World War II. One was in Germany and the other one was in the Philippines. And so every time I think about it, when I was around them, I'd say, tell me something that happened, and they would be like, I don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, why? Just tell me something I'm just dying to know about. Just please. And so, they would try to tell me something nice, or something funny that happened. Pop, my mom's dad, sorry, my grandfather, her daddy, he would tell stories like the time that they took all the women on the islands, they took them t-shirts from the supply on the boats
Mm-hmm.
because they were all walking around topless.
Mm.
And so all these young men on these islands were like 18, 19 years old. They were just like, what in the world?
Mm-hmm.
They'd never seen anything like that before. And so they took and gave them all t-shirts, and they were so excited to get them all. And, of course, immediately put them on. Well, the next morning, they all had 2 holes cut out of the front of their t-shirts because they didn't understand what the reason was. They had given them those t-shirts and they didn't like how that felt. So they had cut 2 holes in the front of all those t-shirts.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, well, that was pointless.
Do you know what island it was, or like, was it just specific to the Philippines?
He was actually in Iwo Jima.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how long he was there or, any details about it, but he was, part of that whole deal.
What I think is going to be funny is when Lily has children and they're like, whatever my grandparent name is, and I'm probably going to be as crazy as a loon by then. And they come up and they're like, Like, Granddaddy, tell us about when you were in the military. And I'm like, all right, now, y'all, come sit down. I'm going to tell you a story. And they're like, what did you
Okay.
do? And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, well, I went to Guam and I worked pretty much a desk job during the day. And, it was real hot and it rained a lot. And then on the weekends, me and my friends, we would go out to the bars and just drink and party.
and you went to Spain?
Yeah, I mean, it was Spain was worse. Spain was,
Really?
yeah, I just
Well, that
turned
was your first
21.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your first one, so that one
And
don't.
Lily hadn't been born yet, too. So I was a little bit more reckless with my behavior before she
Yeah,
was born. And
right,
I took a little bit more chances. Each deployment I went on, I took less chances than the one before.
right.
And that Spain deployment, that one was a lot of fun. I really got to see a lot of stuff and I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. It was really neat. That was the first time I'd ever really left the country, and to go over there and get to watch a bullfight in person and go see all the cathedrals, the big crypts under the ground where they had like people, dead bodies of saints from like the 1500s in there.
yeah,
It was like Indiana Jones almost.
right. I can just, I remember the pictures.
Yeah, it was really neat. But on a regular weekend night, we would just go outside the base and just go to the bars. And the drinking age there is 18, so everybody could drink.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And it's such a culture that's, I mean, they drink a lot more over there. It's not uncommon to have 6, 7 drinks, but it's like a marathon. They do it throughout the day. It's not like binge drinking like what's popular here in the United States.
Yeah,
So you would see people and they'd be just casually drinking. I mean, their whole lifestyle is set up for partying. Like, they wake up every day around like 10 and they get some breakfast, and then they might have a glass of wine with their brunch or something like that, and then they take a nap at like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's nobody on the street. And then they don't come out again until like 10 p.m. That's when people are eating dinner.
that
Yeah. So you
that
would
sounds like
be,
college life.
yeah, I mean, it's like that. Like, you would be out there at 9 o'clock and the streets would be dead. And then at
Right.
10 o'clock, you'd look around and people were walking into restaurants.
Uh-huh.
And then you would get to a nightclub or a bar or whatever, and that place really wouldn't start popping until like 3, 4 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when we had to be back. So at 3:30, we'd all start looking at each other like, hey, it's time for us to go get in a cab and go back. And yeah, that's when, there'd be a gang of people outside waiting to come in, because a lot of them were just ready for the Americans to get out of the bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. All the military had to leave.
Yeah. We'd all get in our cabs and go back, which was actually good because I got there right after they implemented that. Because Fanning, he got there at the beginning of the deployment and he was like, yeah, when I got here, we had a 12 o'clock Liberty. So the CO gave us an extra 4 hours that we could play around outside. Some people played it smart, though. So they would just get off work and go to bed and wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and get ready. And then they would sign out at like 4:30 a.m.
Oh goodness.
So yeah, because if you had already signed out, you had to be back by 4:30. So they would just sleep through that and then wake up and leave at like 4:30 a.m. and they didn't have to be back till 4 a.m. the next day.
What?
So they would
Golly.
so they would get to the clubs and stuff at 5 o'clock in the morning and be out there partying until the sun came up.
Yeah.
And then they'd go eat breakfast somewhere and just kind of casually walk around. It was a lot of fun. That was my college experience. That was my 21 partying
Yeah.
time right there. That's what I tell everybody that's like, I don't know. I want to join the military, but I don't know. I have so much fun here. And I'm like, you'll have fun there, believe me.
Yeah, it's just a different country.
Yeah. And now I feel like I can't do that anymore to myself. Like if I have too much to drink, it'll bother me for 3 days.
Oh goodness. Yeah,
So
that's not good.
yeah, so I don't drink nearly as much as I did in my early 20s. I still occasionally have, a drink or two here just sitting at the house, like just to kind of, you know,
Yeah.
get, some good sleep. But, I'm not, I mean, the bars around here are just starting to open up. So I didn't go out with any of my friends or anything for over a year,
Right.
aside
Yeah.
from being back in Alabama when we were there. We had a lot of fun when we were there the last time. We're going to have fun this time when we get there.
Yeah.
We're excited about that. Have you seen that Alabama's a little bit of Texas just opened?
No.
Yeah, it just opened in Wetumpka. It's where the old Civic Center, right there behind Russell Dewitt Center.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they turned that place into a big old like urban cowboy bar.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, we'll have to check that out.
it's super nice. Like they've been working on it for a while, and they have like a full stage and like a full dance floor. They have a mechanical bull.
What?
Yeah, it's called Alabama's Little Bit of Texas.
Okay.
They have cornhole tournaments during the week. They have like a line dancing class that you can take. I think me and Zane are going to try and do that while we're there.
That sounds like fun.
They'll teach you how to two step and
Oh
all
yeah,
that
that's so
stuff.
much fun. I love the two-step.
Zana tries to teach me sometimes here at the house, but I can't figure it out.
It's not that hard. It's really not.
Yeah.
You just go step, 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 step. But it's easier to learn from somebody that knows, that's
Yeah.
relaxed and calm. And if they're doing it correctly, then it's easy to learn. I
Yeah.
try to teach Jerry, and he's just kind of fumbling, bumbling all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do it, but he's kind of stiff.
I've been saying for years, I was like, that's what Wetumpka really needed was like a bar, like in that movie Urban Cowboy. I was like, if they
Yeah,
had a place like that and they had proper security and everybody there was professional and a
yeah,
place that welcomed everybody, I
right.
was like, you would have a hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's been so many plays, and I'm not talking down on like the bars in Wetumpka or anything. I've been watching Bar Rescue a lot for like the past 2 weeks. So now I'm like an unofficial expert on like the bar
Yeah,
business.
what works and what doesn't work.
But I've said that for years. It's like, you know what they need to do? They need to just take like the old food world or something like that and just turn it into like an old country bar with a mechanical bull or something like that. I was like, people will love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I went to one in Birmingham one time when I was living by myself before you were born. And that's exactly what they had done. They had turned an old skating rink into a bar, and it was country. And everybody, it's so funny, but everybody was on that skating rink floor moving just like you did at the skating rink, that same, oblong circular pattern. And it was so much fun. There were so many people there. I even went back later, years later, and tried to find that place, but it had closed down.
Yeah. This place, I mean, it looks real nice. I don't think they have food on the menu yet, but I think they're going to get food. And, with all those renovations that have come to the town because of that, that show that came in there and fixed everything up. It was really nice just seeing it last time we were there. I mean, it had been a
Right.
year since I had been there and just seeing how much they had fixed up the downtown area and how much more lively everything was. It was like, okay, this is actually pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. And from what the mayor said on the commercials, they may come back and do more. This may be just the beginning, and if the networks like it, then they may, have them come back.
Yeah.
So that would be really good. They need to come visit Prattville.
Prattville's doing okay though. Prattville, I mean, just a few years ago, they put that big complex over there next to like Tokyo and stuff. It's just unfortunate that a lot of those businesses, at least the last time I went through there, are still vacant.
Well, there's talking about putting a new school in there, but it's going to be a private school.
Hmm.
And they are going round and round trying to figure out where the money's going to come from, because they're saying, the city doesn't really need to be the one to pay for that unless it's part of, the already existing school system. I mean, the high school over here in Prattville is just busting at the seams with children, because people are moving out of Montgomery area and into the counties. And they really need two facilities and two campuses. So the one they're talking about, they're saying it's going to be $23 million to convert that actual complex into a school. But I don't know exactly. It might be like, kind of like a lot of private schools have like an open campus concept where they're buildings, but everything's connected by sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's, where I went to school, it was like that, but just a much smaller version. And so, they could, section everything out and have it like that, but they're saying it would only have about 650 students. And so, I don't know if that's really going to be beneficial, or, what they might do. But I mean, the businesses that are already there, the restaurants and stuff, they might have something to say about it too, because they would be overrun with kids after school let out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know what they're going to do, but they may have to wall some of it off or something.
Yeah.
Maybe work it like that. But it's already a nice area. It really looks pretty, and they seem to be keeping it up and trying to take care of it, trying to get businesses in there, but they just really don't know what to do with it right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't, as far as here goes, I haven't been into the downtown area in 9 months, aside from going to the airport. And I hear, it's looking better on the weekends. There are more people. I'm like, okay, but what about during the week? And they're like, yeah, you don't need to come during the week.
yeah.
So many places closed and just stayed shut down. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
What about that Riverwalk area that y'all have? Isn't that something down by the water? It's like a bay.
Well, the one on the Coronado side is pretty good. Um, there's a couple of like little restaurants and stuff like that. And you can ride the ferry over to the other side, which will take you right into downtown. And I haven't rode that ferry over there in a long time. I used to do that several times a week. I would just get on the ferry. I'd have Zana drop me off at the ferry landing and be like, all right, I'll call you when you can come get me. And I would just ride the ferry across, and I would go to the comedy clubs during the week. And but the only bad side to that is they stop running at like 9:45, and the comedy club doesn't close until 10. So if you're waiting to go up, you kind of are like, okay, are they going to call me? And then at a certain time, you just got to go.
Yeah, a little bit of a time crunch.
Yeah. I think the last time that I went over there, I did it like that to actually go into downtown to do stand up. It was like February of 2020. And I just told Zaina, like, hey, the show's going to run kind of late. I need you to come over the bridge and come get me from downtown. So she did. She just, I mean, it's like a 10-minute drive to get over there. But, and she would just come pick me up.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it gets a little bit better, but at this point, it's kind of hard to see what is going to move forward from here. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad I got to enjoy it while it was fun, but it's just like they're just doing everything they can to keep people scared and stay inside. And it's like, well, people got to pay their bills,
Right.
you
I
know,
know. Yeah.
especially now that, it's so widespread and known that places like Florida and Georgia and Alabama and Texas, they're just wide open.
Right.
And I mean, everybody knows it. They're like, yeah, well, Florida is doing their thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're going to keep everybody safe. And it's like, all you've done is create a vacuum for everybody to just go, hey, our stimulus check just came in. Let's take a $90 flight to Miami for a week where there are
Right.
no restrictions. And hey, when we're done, we'll just get back on a plane and come right back to California.
Right.
And it's been that way for 8 months now. So
Yeah.
at this point, the governor is just opening stuff up just to try and help him getting recalled.
Right. He's just probably in that desperate state.
Oh yeah, it's pathetic. He's blaming the whole thing on he's like the Republicans are trying to take back everything that Democrats have done for California, and it's like it ain't. 1.7 million people aren't all Republicans that signed your recall, man.
Exactly.
There's a lot. I mean, they're Democrat owned businesses. Like everybody is like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
I know. Yeah, he's done for.
It's so sad too. Like the Comedy Store just opened for the first time in LA on the 30th. And they are doing everything they can to get people to come in and watch, but it's just not the same because all of the heavy hitters have left.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still a couple that pop in or they didn't leave LA, but it's not like it was. It wasn't like, I mean, when me and Fanning went, you would go up there and you would see Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia, Dave Chappelle might walk in, Bill Burr might walk in. You might look over at a table and see Eminem or Leonardo DiCaprio sitting in there. Like that was the place to be. And for
Yeah.
$20 a person,
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Joe Rogan do an hour in a room that was we were probably 90 feet away from him.
Really?
And if that even. And yeah, he did a full hour. And I get up and I go to the bathroom and I see 12. I saw Bron White in the hallway.
Did you really?
Yeah, he was just out there walking around. I couldn't get close enough to it because I wanted to get a picture with everybody. But I mean, it was weird just because I walked out there and I recognized everyone.
Yeah.
And I saw Chris D'Elia and I was like, oh, I got to go get a picture with him. So that's who I got a picture with.
Yeah.
And then when I went back the next time, I got my picture taken with Bobby Lee. But yeah, and that was what was so cool about it was like, okay, if you go me and Fanning are going to go see Dave Chappelle in July at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, where they normally do UFC fights. This is like a 20,000 person arena.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
got the
wow.
tickets a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to get them too, because it was like they go on sale at 10 a.m. And as soon as you clicked on it, you were put into a queue and you had to wait. And then when it became available, it's like you got 5 minutes to make this purchase or we're going to sell them to somebody else.
Oh my.
And I mean, and they do it. I mean, it's the full 9 yards. I don't remember if you remember me telling you when I went to go see Chris Rock, they put your phone in this bag.
Yeah, you did tell me about that.
They're going to do that for 20,000 people because he's going to get up there and do something that he's going to sell to Netflix for $10 million.
Right.
So, and that's why I was
Pop
like,
is out.
I've always said, because he's my favorite, And I've always said I wanted to see him for the first time at the Comedy Store in that small little bitty room. But I was like, you know what? I'm willing to go see him in this big arena just because, for one, I've never gone and watch it in an arena like that. And two, I'm really curious to see what he's going to say after this past year,
Right.
because he would be like the first really prolific comedian to come out and like talk about everything that's happened over the past year. I'm really curious to see how he shapes it and formats it. And because during the summer he made like his own summer camp where he lives. He lives in Yellow Springs, Ohio.
Uh-huh.
And he just, I mean, it's this small little bitty town out in the middle of nowhere when nobody treats him any differently than anybody else. They're like, yeah, that's Dave. He's just their neighbor.
Oh,
And
Lord.
they did a whole like little mini series about it on David Letterman, where he came out there and they filmed it and they just showed his small town and stuff like that. And he created this Dave Chappelle summer camp where he was just putting on shows for the people in the town all throughout the summer.
Really?
Yeah, you could buy tickets on Ticketmaster to go watch a Dave Chappelle comedy show in his backyard.
Oh, my word.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So he was just doing that during the summer, and then he came down to Texas during the fall of last year and did a bunch of shows with Joe Rogan at a barbecue joint. So he's ready. He's ready to shoot another special.
I see.
So,
That'll be
oh yeah,
fun.
yeah. Me and Fanning haven't decided where we're going to stay yet, but I'm trying to convince him like, hey, let's stay 3 nights instead of 2.
Uh-huh.
But because I've never been. He's been to Vegas once, and I just want to go look around and see everything and all
Yeah.
that. So
They got a zip line that takes you down the strip.
yeah,
That's what
I might do that. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Yeah, we're gonna
We
do.
planned that we were gonna do something like that for when KJ retired, but we still hadn't planned anything.
Yeah,
COVID kind of messed that up for us. So
yeah. Mess up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Me and Zayna had all these plans going into this past year. Like we even right after Christmas, because we had done Disneyland and SeaWorld and all this different stuff. I even told Zayna, I was like, hey, let's just kind of pump the brakes for a little while it's cold out still, save
yeah,
up a little bit of money. And then by the time it warms up, we'll be ready to go out and party.
yeah, and then that's when we shut everything down.
Yep. And now we're, almost a year. Yeah. We're like 15 months later. And we're like, can I go to the baseball game yet? And it's like, well, you got to be here. They're really pushing that proof of vaccination to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, in Alabama, there I think they've said like only 33% of the population have had vaccinations,
yeah,
and they've got more to give out. They even sent some of those Johnson and Johnson ones back here that they couldn't give to anybody else, and I was like, who's going to take that mess?
yeah.
But I don't know. People are still signing up to go get vaccinated here and there.
I mean,
So
at this point, it's just it's going to be whoever wants to get it, and that's what I think is smart about the way places like Alabama and Florida have handled it. It's like, look, we're not forcing anybody to get it. So everybody that feels like they need to be vaccinated in order to be safe has received their vaccine. So
yeah, I
now,
know that the county workers were required to get it,
mhm,
because I know some people that work for the county and they were told, well, it's a requirement or you're going to be terminated. So I don't know. That's just kind of strange, but it looks to me, working for a doctor's office, it looks like they would ask us to get it also, but they never said a word. They
Yeah.
just let everybody decide do they wanted to do it or not. So we've actually got a nurse that she should be back. I think she'll be back tomorrow, but she caught it from a patient. And you know, we send people to go pre-op all the time, and he was positive. So she showed up about 7 days later. She came down with it, and so I mean, it's still around.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, obviously the lockdown stuff doesn't work. And if you feel like you need to go get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. But if not, now it's on you,
Right,
essentially, you know?
right. Not any more grant money to pay people's paychecks. That's over with.
Yeah, they're still trying to push that, like, oh, we need more money. And it's like now you've run into the problem of, I don't know if you've seen all of these fast food places. It's like, hey, we're closed because nobody's showing up to work. And why would they? Why would you show up to work at Subway and make 7.25 an hour when you can get a check from the unemployment office?
Right.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
blame them. I would do the same thing if I could. Why go to work for 8 hours when you can just get an unemployment check?
Right.
It's never been easier to get one. So I don't know.
And people that were laid off last year that I have talked to, they haven't even tried to get a job. They're just what they're saying is that they're enjoying life right now.
Hmm.
Means, oh, I decided I'm just going to stay out and collect unemployment.
Yeah. I mean, if it's there,
Yeah,
I
that's what
mean,
they're doing.
I think so a lot of people moved from these bigger populated areas because it was like, the restrict, like for here in California, for instance, it was like, okay, well, it's so locked down here. This isn't enjoyable by any means. And I'm just working from home. So I can keep this job and go work from Austin, Texas. And when
Right.
I'm done working, I can just go out to eat and live my life the way I want to. And that's what
Right.
a lot of people have done. And the fact that, like, I've been saying this the whole time, it's hard to believe that now it's just like they're starting to realize what the effects are of, okay, well, if you make your state uninhabitable, then nobody's going to want to live there. And not to mention how expensive it is to live here. I mean, it is, when we come back to Alabama, it's like being in the discount section of a store. Like we go out to eat and we're just like,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, oh, this is expensive. I was like, this whole meal was $20.
I
You can't
know.
go to McDonald's here for less than $25.
Yeah, I know. That's terrible.
When I'm on my lunch break, I go to McDonald's because it's like the closest thing to my office. I'll go over there and get a chicken sandwich, a large fry, and a bottle of water. It'll be $11.
Really.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just unreal. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, well, it's the sunshine tax. So that's my biggest thing that aggravates me is people like, you can't get views like this anywhere. And it's like, this is like staring out the window of a prison. It's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. Things are opening. Disneyland is open. Universal Studios is open. But I tell everybody, I'm like, that asked me, well, how do you feel about it? And I was like, well, it's like having a taste of some really good orange juice and being like, man, this is delicious. This is so good. And then they're like, here, I want you to suck the corrosion off of this battery for a year. Just keep that in your mouth and just roll that around in there, get all that corrosion on that battery off. And now you can have a tiny little sip of this orange juice out of a sippy cup, and two of the holes on it are clogged up with pulp. So you just get this little squirt of that good orange juice. It's like, no, that taste in my mouth is too bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That's
this is
good.
the past year, it taught me this is a great place to visit, but this isn't where I want to end up indefinitely,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
Not saying that I want to live right back in Alabama, but I'm a lot more keen to being within like a day's drive.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to end up, somewhere maybe a little bit closer, maybe, a little bit farther, but I think that's where we're going to be the happiest, is somewhere right there in that area.
Yeah, we can get here in a couple of hours.
Yeah. Let me see. How long have we been on here?
Think about an hour.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
They came in from some of my listeners. Let me see here. Hold on, I got to find them. Okay. So I got two questions. This one comes from Paul Duncan. Paul is an avid listener of the Mac Daddy seminar. He pretty much listens to every episode, and he always like gives me a shout out. And like when he's driving down the road in his truck or something, he'll be playing it and he'll like record himself driving, like listening to it.
Uh-huh.
So he's a big time supporter. So his question is, how do you feel about Taylor being a comedian?
Oh, well, I love it. I mean, he's been a comedian since he was like 2 years old to me. So, yeah. The first time we ever got him to really perform was, I think he was about 2.5, maybe 3 at the oldest. And he would sing, "All my exes live in Texas." He'd get on the hearth of the fireplace with his little boots and his little jeans and his little cowboy hat and sing that song for us. So it was pretty sweet. But he's always been funny. And I know he gets that it's a genetic thing because he got that from his dad and his grandparents. They were real funny people too. So like to joke and cut up and mess around. So he's just living the dream now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was living the dream.
Well,
I have a good time with it, but
pretty close.
as I've gotten older, I mean, everybody, is like, yeah, if I can make Dave Chappelle money just going up there and talking shit for an hour, that would be, that's the dream. But in reality, there's so many different avenues you can take that you can be an entertainer and, make an honest living for yourself. So really, when I first, like, this was one of the main reasons I wanted to move out to California. It's because this was, the place to be.
Right.
And it's not really quite the place to be anymore, because all of the big fish have moved away, or they're working remotely in their own little pockets of America, but they can go hop on a plane and go perform wherever they want to. And so really, when I came out here to California, it was more of a, well, this is kind of like a comedy college. I can learn how to work in a aggressive, competitive market and like learn how to network with people. And, I was doing good when we first got here. Like, I was actually really surprising myself because there were opportunities coming up and I was like, wow, this is not as hard as I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
It's a big difference being out here doing it versus being in Alabama.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Whenever, because I had the it's not the right word, but like, I guess the shortcut of being young when I started.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you remember that first show that you and Zaina came to? That was my first time.
Right.
And, I was 10 years younger than everybody on the show,
I know.
so I was a kid.
Yeah, they were all looking at you like, oh no. Yeah, he's so young. They were like, what is fixing to happen?
Oh, I was nervous too. And you remember Willie showed up.
He did.
That was what was so crazy,
I
thinking back at
know.
it, the fact that he got to be there and see it.
No, I was totally shocked.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
wild. I was so nervous. And I had done things similar to that in high school. I didn't really think like, hey, maybe this is what I could try to do until I was probably in like the 10th, 11th grade.
Yeah.
And because I didn't even know how you got started in it. I just assumed like, people thought you were funny and then eventually they just offered you this or that. And then I started reading into it and kind of researching. It's like, oh, you got to go to a place and like just go up there. You got to do an open mic.
Yeah.
And they usually run between 3 and 5 minutes. And, if you want to do it correctly, you contact the people that are putting it together and then ask them like, okay, what type of material do I need to do? Does it need to be clean? Which the Stardome is pretty exclusively clean because
Right.
it's, in Alabama. And
Yeah.
I just remember setting it up and being like, hey, what are y'all doing on July 27th? And you're like, I don't know why. And I was like, okay, well, here's your tickets and we're going to go do comedy. And y'all were like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm not telling you.
Surprise.
Yeah, that was my big thing. I didn't want to tell y'all what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, Zaina, she was like, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to say? And I was like, oh, you'll see. And I've kind of kept that same regiment anytime she comes to watch me, which she hasn't actually watched me do it in a while, because
Yeah.
I tell her about it. And, half the time I have a recording anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I was happy last November when I was there. I got to go do that show and go back on that main stage. I would have invited more people, but I was so nervous because it had been so long since I had done it. And it was like this is the big, like the first time I got to perform on the big stage there since I started. Like I was like really nervous. So I was like, I'm probably going to shit the bed and do really bad. But Tyler and his girlfriend, they took me up there and the people that put the show together recorded it. And I've been waiting for, let's see, I can tell you how many days it's been. I was supposed to, yeah, it's been 160 days since I did that performance, and I still haven't seen the video that they apparently got.
Oh my.
They'll probably use it for some type of promotional thing the next time they do it,
Yeah.
which they've told me I could come back and do it again. So,
Oh my. Well, maybe they'll put it up soon. They're probably citing COVID reasons as to why they can't post it.
I don't know. I mean, it was definitely relaxed. I walked in there and they were like, "Hey, do you want to put a mask on?" I was like, "Nah."
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, if they started handing them out to people backstage, and I was like, if you think I'm going to wear this when I walk out there, I'm leaving right now.
Yeah.
I will not walk out there with this on my face. They had everybody like this lanyard. I don't know. It was a good show. It was just put together kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was just happy to get the opportunity to do it. That's all I really cared about.
Yeah.
But they're back open here. The comedy clubs are slowly starting to open back up. And I wanted to jump right back into it and go, but because of, work, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold back. So I'm planning on starting back up here whenever I get back from leave in June. I'm just gonna hit the ground running as soon as I get back. Try
Yeah.
and
Start
get back
working
in
on
that.
it again.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It is a perishable skill. So the more you do it, the sharper and better you get. And those nerves aren't as bad. So if I do like a bunch of shows throughout a week, by the time Saturday rolls around, I'm starting to feel like an assassin.
Speaking of that, have you noticed any effects on that memory pill thing?
It gives me it puts me in a little bit better mood throughout the day. I don't have quite as much like brain fog and like feeling sleepy. I don't
Yeah,
take it as much as I should. I miss the regiment for it pretty often. Like I'll be too tired and
really.
I'll just go get in the bed. I'll be like, dang, I forgot to take that pill. But
Well, I only skip Saturdays, and I can really tell a difference.
yeah.
The only reason I skip Saturday is just to kind of give my body a rest so that, I don't want to get dependent on it as far as I don't think it's addicting or anything, but I just feel like I think it'll work better if I don't take it every day,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that, kind of like a vitamin.
Mm-hmm.
But I take it in the morning and I can really tell a difference at my work.
Yeah, the one that I take, they say take it at night before bed for the best results. And I always have like a really vivid dream.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a nightmare and it's really scary,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for the
Well, I have
most
all
part,
that anyway.
no, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. As far as like as if it helps me creatively, I wouldn't say so much. It's just been kind of tough to come up with new things to talk about if you're just going to work and coming home every day. And occasionally an idea will pop into my head and I'll jot it down on my phone, but I'm such a procrastinator. Like I'll be like, oh, I'll save that one for a rainy day. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm going to sit down and work on it. And then I just don't feel like working on it. And, you know,
Yeah.
but I know this is probably the most twisted way to answer Paul Duncan's question, but yeah, I I have a lot of stuff I've been working on, and if I really sit down and like organize everything,
Uh-huh.
I'll have a good amount of material. It's just the getting back into the swing of things and doing it more and going to the open mics every night that they're available. I'm
Right.
going to use this time that I'm going to be here after our leave coming up, since Zayna and Lily are going to stay there for a little while. I'm just going to use that time to really, you know, get back
Get
into the
stuff
swing of
work.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. What's the other question?
Oh, so the other question comes from a school buddy of mine. He's one of my real good friends in A school. His name is Josh Chia. I don't remember if you do you remember meeting him when you came to?
Do.
Yeah, he came out here. He got out of the military and he works as a contractor now. And he was working on my base. So he was staying at a hotel here on the island and he contacted me and he's like, hey, we should eat dinner. And it was
Yeah.
really nice to see him. But his question is, Mama Dunn, what is the funniest quote Taylor has ever said to / around you?
Funniest quote.
Or funniest thing you can remember? Is there anything specific? And I'm going to think about something that you've done that I've thought was absolutely hilarious. I'm trying to.
Well, last night I was telling Jerry something that you used to do, and it wasn't something you said, but it just cracks me up every time I think about it. um, your favorite thing to do, and I really don't even know how old you were when you started doing this mess, but favorite thing to do, we did a lot of driving because we lived out in the country when we were, young. And we would come up to a car, we were about to pass somebody, and you would start that mess where you would do this, like you were running in the car. Yes, yes. And people would just die. And that to me was probably the funniest thing you ever did.
You remember when
Uh,
I would do like this? I would like pull my hood up and act like I was like a headless person sitting there in the
yeah.
passenger seat.
always some kind of mess. You loved it when people would just look and look and look and try to figure out what was going on. And see that right there, that's my daddy. He would act like that too. So you get that from both sides of the family.
You know who does that type of crap now?
Your daughter?
Yep, Senorita Monkey Bone. She's in there watching. She's in there watching Barney right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't come in here like, what are you doing? Anytime I sit in here and I do a podcast, she comes in here and just,
Yeah. Daddy, can you get me a juice?
yeah, I want a peanut butter jelly.
Oh, goodness.
She says that she wants to tell jokes to people, and sometimes she'll get out in front of us and
Oh,
start to be like, what do you get when two chickens see a pig?
right.
And I don't know, like she,
Oh, she's just making stuff up.
yeah.
Two chickens see a pig.
But she
Huh.
does that type of stuff like unprovoked. Like I don't like try to push it on her. Like we watch all the Ace Ventura movies and stuff like that. She loves Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler. We watched Happy Gilmore for the first time.
Oh my.
And oh, we were watching Forrest Gump last night.
Really?
Yeah. And we just watched the beginning because that was my favorite part when I was a kid. And then I had to get
Yeah.
older to understand the rest of it.
Right.
But
Yeah,
oh,
everybody said you looked like him when he had those braces on his legs
yeah.
when you were about 5.
I probably have about the same mental capacity too.
No. Oh, goodness.
That's what I tell Zaina. I'm like, don't be like Jenny. I was like, if she just stayed with Forrest, she would have lived a pretty good life.
Yeah.
But no, she had to smoke crack
She
and
was messed up. Yeah.
be a woman of the night.
Yeah. Went and got herself a virus.
Yep. She really was a bitch. I'm sorry, but God, Zaina was even saying it last night. Like, she was so mean to him. And she was just like, well, this is my hippie boyfriend,
Yeah.
and he's a war hero coming back from Vietnam, getting the Medal of Honor from the president. And
Mm.
she's, just a flower child going to hop on a bus.
Yeah. There were so many people though that had that lifestyle back then. It was like probably half of the United States citizens were doing what she was doing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's a
oh,
lot of, they're all like grandparents now and they live out in places like this.
right.
And you see them, you're like, yeah, you grew up in the 60s.
Yeah. A
What a
lot of them are
time.
still smoking pot too.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen eventually. They're really close to legalizing it on a federal level.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah. I think, I'm not positive if it's fully passed both the Senate and the House here in Alabama, but they're doing the medical marijuana where you have to have one of, I don't know, 11 or 16. I can't remember the number, but it's somewhere between 11 and 16 health issues that they're going to allow that. So
yeah.
I'm surprised, but
Yeah. I mean, they just legalized it medically in Mississippi. And I don't know how it is in Florida, but New York legalized it. So you can, for recreational use, you can buy it at the store in New York. But when you live in a place where it's allowed, it's really not even taboo.
right.
Like when we first got here, it was, something that you notice just walking down the street. You're like, oh, I smell something. But
Uh,
after you've been here for 2 years, like you just don't even care anymore. It's just like, oh, okay.
right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel
Everybody
like
was
it would.
flocking to Colorado when they first got, okay to do it, starting their own business doing it and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just okay, whatever. So,
So I think the funniest thing I can remember, there's so many different things that I can remember and touch on, but it was always like the little things that I thought was so funny, like how you used to wake us up by just rubbing our lip like that. That used to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Because you would just
Yeah.
wake up, you'd be sitting there and you would just wake up going, you know, Zaina did that to me yesterday while
Oh,
I was
did she?
taking a nap. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Oh my God. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, now all I have to pick on is Jerry.
Does it drive him crazy when you do that?
Yes, it sure does. Oh, he hates stuff like that.
I remember we used to go up while somebody was sleeping and open their
Yeah,
eyelids.
you did that a lot in kindergarten because all the other kids were so sleepy and tired, and you would just go up and open their eyes when you were ready for them to wake up.
It's a wonder somebody didn't beat me half to death.
Well, you're funny, so everybody liked you.
I wouldn't say that everybody liked me. I was pretty weird and everybody was relatively mean to me until I would say about seventh or eighth grade.
Really?
Yeah, everybody was just, I was real optimistic, because I wanted to be liked by everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what made me want to do things like play football or, play baseball. I just wanted to do something that, people would like me for, but I wasn't very coordinated whatsoever. So, and it wasn't until we started getting a little bit older, it kind of dawned on me that, I shouldn't try and be somebody else. I should just try and be me.
Yeah.
And that was when people really kind of started to like me a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Well,
saying everybody liked me. I know there for a fact there are
no.
people that didn't like
Yeah.
me, but
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, you were really built more like a swimmer,
yeah.
and then your school didn't offer that. So, you just had to do other stuff. But I always wanted you to be involved, and do things because I wasn't allowed to do anything when I was a child. And I know, how much I wanted to do stuff and wanted to be part of a team. And, that was just something that we weren't allowed to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't until, I don't know, people didn't really start telling me I was funny until like 10th, 11th grade. That's when people were like, yeah, I remember Coach Mataloni at Coach's Corner. He was one of the first people that like said, you need to try and be a comedian, that I distinctively remember.
Really?
Yeah. Cause like, of course I had like Coach Glass and theater and stuff like that. And I'd write my own scenes and stuff, but
Yeah.
He was the first person who actually said like, you need to try and be a comedian.
Uh-huh.
And it's 10 years later and I'm still trying to be a comedian, but
Yeah. Yeah, and he's retired now, living the dream.
yeah. Got a really successful restaurant.
Yeah.
That place has gotten so much better. Like the last time we went in there, oh, it was so good.
Really?
Yeah. Aside from the lip tickling, I'm trying to think. I remember like we would go to like, we always did things that we had to kind of entertain ourselves doing,
Yeah.
because we didn't really have too much money. So we would do things like just, hey, let's go see the balloon gorilla at that car dealership in Montgomery. And that's what we would go do.
Yeah, yeah. As I would say, okay, we got to find something we could do that doesn't cost anything this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, that was always the best time.
Yep.
We didn't spend any money doing stuff.
That was the most fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's kind of that way now. Like, that's the way we've kind of lived and survived for the past year. It's just been like, we got to do something that
Yeah.
doesn't really cost any money because those places are closed.
Right.
And
Well,
we've,
that's good.
yeah, I don't know. I don't put anything on anybody when I say this, but Zaina was a little bit, uh, I would say a little bit more privileged growing up in a way,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just because, her parents did this and did that. And, you know,
Yeah. And they worked really hard. And when you stay together, a couple that stays together, they're always going to be more productive than somebody that is, dealt with divorce and that kind of thing.
yeah. She's not hard to please though. I feel like
Yeah.
that sounds bad, but normally like I haven't gotten her anything for Mother's Day, but it's because in a week, and we're not going to say what it is, but in a week we're doing something pretty fun. You know what it is, but the people
Yeah.
listening don't need to know. Uh, um,
Hmm.
but like last year on Mother's Day, it was completely shut down here. And me and Lily we got up and went and picked her some flowers out here on the beach where we live. There are these really, really pretty little yellow flowers. And me and her just went and picked a couple of them and made her
Well,
breakfast.
they're probably blooming right now. She can get some more.
Oh, yeah, probably will. She's always like, oh, well, you don't got to get me anything. And I know that's a trick. Well, my favorite thing to do is be like, what are we getting each other for Valentine's Day? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna get me. I guess you just don't love me,
Oh man.
because that was when I gave her that big surprise that I'm not talking about, was on Valentine's Day. And she was like, what do you want? And I was like, nothing. She was like, well, you better not get me anything if I can't get you anything. And I just busted out laughing when she said that because I'd already got it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Aside from going to see like the big balloon monkey and stuff like that, and like we go to like McDonald's or something, and you would take two French fries and put them in your lip to look like you had two buck teeth. I remember all of that stuff.
yeah. What about that where you paint your lips down, do like a duck, and then stick your tongue out?
Yeah. Or we would just do like this. We just stick out your bottom lip and then your tongue, and it would look like your lips are real big. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, my daddy used to do that. Yeah. It works a lot better when you have a mustache for some reason.
Sana won't let me cut this.
Really?
Yeah, she
She
likes it.
likes it.
Yeah.
Really?
It'll be a
Oh.
year this July that I've had a mustache.
Well, it's really filling in, you
Look,
know?
I've had it for a year.
Yeah.
It looks real good in this light, but like, I don't know. I just took
Yeah.
good up. Look who it is. Speak of the devil.
What?
Look who. Come here.
Big Mama,
Oh,
I can't
hey.
hear
How are
you.
You can't hear me. Oh,
Here.
Daddy set the ears on. There you are. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good.
That's great. We've been talking about you.
Ooh,
I heard you had a spider in your room.
huh.
How was he?
He was scary.
Really? Was it a big spider or a little spider?
It was a low spider.
Oh, but he was friendly. He wasn't friendly? Really? That's surprising. So where'd you find him? He was in a toy or he was on the window?
He was on my wall.
On the wall. Really? Was
Yeah,
it
he crawled up over her TV. She was sitting there watching TV, and he came crawling up behind the TV on the wall, and she just was up there. But she did good. She did good. She was like, "Daddy, there's a spider in my room," and I grabbed a magazine and went in there, pow, and smacked him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I had a praying mantis get in my record player when I was a little
Oh.
girl?
Wow.
Well, it was a woman. She got in my record player and had babies. And there were like 2,000 babies coming out of my record player. And so we put a ruler, a 12-inch ruler on the record player to the window sill behind it. And we opened the window and they all walked on that ruler, all the babies out the window. And then they just flew away, just like the wind.
Whoa.
It was cool because it was like 2,000 babies.
Wow.
I know, they were so microscopic and little. They were so cute.
Mm.
After that, I loved bugs of all kinds.
What?
thought-
You love
thought-
bugs?
Yes, I loved them. They're so sweet and nice. Some of them have fur and they're so sweet.
What?
Yes.
My dog has fur just like the spiders.
Yes. You're correct. Except your dog is white. Most spiders are brown or black.
Black.
Yeah. Ah, that's so funny. But you know those little inchworms that go like this? Those are some of my favorites. Yes. If you can get outside and play with one of those, they're so sweet. That's just right.
She's watching herself on this little camera down here.
So, yeah.
I can see me right there.
Look, your shirt is glowing because of that black light.
What?
Yeah, that purple light back there, that's a black light.
Ooh.
Look at there.
Well, all right. I think this pretty much wraps our podcast up. I appreciate you sitting down with us today and talking to
Good.
us. I'm
I had
glad
a
I
good
got you on
time.
here finally.
I know. Thank you.
I'm gonna do it. We'll do it
Appreciate it.
again. We'll do a special episode. Everybody that I do an episode with, I'm like, we'll do it again. Because
What?
I run out of people to talk to sometimes.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, tell her, say happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, baby doll. I love you.
I love you too.
And I love your daddy and I
right.
love your mama. And
So we'll talk to
Pippins.
you later. And we're gonna see you when we come to your house.
That's great.
Yeah.
I got surprises already.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna have a
can't
great time.
believe it.
Yes, you bring your softball glove.
My softball glove.
Yeah, go put it in the suitcase right now.
Wow. Right now?
Yes.
So we're coming in about a week. All right. So
In about a week.
tell her bye. Say we love you.
Bye. I love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Bye. Y'all